My brother Sam Acho and Pro Bowl safety Malcolm Jenkins are back with us. But guys, let me remind everyone that I think the Rams are up to something here because the best teams in the NFL have the best quarterback head coach combinations. Why do I say that? Let's talk about the Super Bowl champions, Tom Brady, Bruce Arians, incredible head coach, specifically offensive mind, incredible quarterback. Okay, who was the Super Bowl runner-ups? Who won the Super Bowl last year? Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, incredible head coach, incredible quarterback. Who was the third best team in the league this year? How about the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur, incredible coach, incredible quarterback. You want to juxtapose that? Deshaun Watson, incredible quarterback, but where's the head coach? Sam Darnold came out of college, a really good quarterback, but where was the head coach? Or we can talk about the person in question, Matthew Stafford. Out of Highland Park, #1 overall quarterback recruit goes to Georgia, #1 overall quarterback selection. Incredible quarterback. But lately with Matt Patricia when he was in Detroit, there was no competent head coach, specifically on offense. So if I realize it, the best teams have the best quarterback and coach combinations, then Sean McVay, who is proven to be a phenomenal coach, coupled with Matthew Stafford, who is proven to be a phenomenal quarterback, at least by arm talent alone, should definitely re-energize the Rams. Well, Malcolm Jenkins, I got to go to you first, because last year you were with Drew Brees, Sean Payton, incredible head coach, incredible quarterback. So you understand what I'm talking about better than anybody. How far can the Rams go with a re-energized Matthew Stafford?
Well, I think when you look at what they did last year, they were very competitive, right? A 10-win team, and you take somebody like a Stafford who's been, consistent over his career, but not been in the best situations in Detroit, who's talking about being, rejuvenated or feeling really good and healthy, he's rejuvenated and things like that. That's what you want to hear. And I think that's a great situation for him to go into, especially for his family. Those are things that I think are going to help him really just relax and play. He's been consistent. And I can say as a competitor, when I line up against him, he's somebody that at any point in time can light up a scoreboard, can light up the field if you allow him to. But like he said in his interview, he was so used to the way the way of life and the things that he was doing. There was really no hope in Detroit, right? There was no high expectations for Detroit. Now he goes into a situation where he has a team, the tools around him, he's getting older, and you look at that offensive line, and what they were able to do, they protect the quarterback pretty well. So as I'm getting older and I'm a quarterback, I want to get into a situation where I can actually win and compete. I think this is perfect for this point in his career, and it's perfect for that time, this head coach. It's a great situation.
Sam, you played in the same division as Matthew Stafford for 3 years. That means twice, 6 times total, twice a year, that is. Matthew Stafford now on the Los Angeles Rams. How lethal can they be?
Well, Matthew Stafford himself is a lethal quarterback. I believe he's the top quarterback in the NFL. But personally, I'm not too concerned. I believe that Sean McVay is a good coach, but I wouldn't necessarily say incredible just yet. And here's why. I believe that there was a time when the LA Rams were the offense. They were bringing new things. You saw jet motion, jet sweep, hurry up, all these innovative play calls that really you didn't see a lot of teams do, and they did it really well. But then something happened. I remember in 2017, really 2018, the year that the Bears had the #1 defense with Vic Fangio. We have the #1 defense. We're playing the LA Rams, the #1 offense. And Vic Fangio figured them out. I believe that Sean McVay, by certain coordinators, has been figured out. And so, yes, you're going to see Matthew Stafford be super successful against some teams, but you start seeing the Vic Fangios of the world. You start seeing the New Englands and the way they play defense. You start seeing those teams. I believe there's still only a certain length that you can go, even if you have an incredible quarterback and an incredible coach. And so I'm excited for Matthew Stafford. I really am. He's a phenomenal quarterback, but I don't think it's the fit that everyone's been hoping, dreaming, and praying for out there in L.A.
Jenkins, I'm going to pivot this conversation because this just came to mind. Again, you've played on a ton of teams, gone to a couple Super Bowls, all that. When you say that Matthew Stafford hasn't won a playoff game, how much of that are you putting on the quarterback? Because you were in Philly when Nick Foles came in for Carson Wentz, and he won 3 straight playoff games. Y'all beat the Falcons. Y'all beat the Vikings. Y'all go on to beat the Patriots and win the whole thing. So when you look at a guy like Matthew Stafford, he's always been the best quarterback in whatever league he's been playing in, whether 5A, high school football, SEC football, or the NFL. He's always been one of the most talented arms. When you say, wait a second, you ain't got no playoff wins? Is that on Stafford in your mind as an NFL veteran who's been there?
Well, I think usually you try to blame those type of situations, those statistics on the quarterback. But, like I said, I've been drafted the same time as Stafford, and I've watched him over the years. And what I've always seen out of the Detroit Lions, really, and not necessarily him, was that team had a cap. They had a limit to what their potential was. And they can beat any team in this league on any given Sunday until everything's on the line. So when you get to the playoffs, it's only the quality teams that are there that have really good defenses, that have really good offenses, that are balanced as teams. And it's that at that point where you saw the Detroit Lions really reach its cap and its potential when it comes to being able to compete in this league. So I think, it's to be seen. We'll see when you get a better cast of players around you, get in a division that's really, talented and competitive. We'll see if that translates and if he's the guy who propels this team to that next level or if he's the guy who's inhibiting their success.
Yeah, and Malcolm, I love your point, but I don't see Matthew Stafford as a guy who can inhibit success. Like you said, he's phenomenal and he's played phenomenal. His team capped him. But you said something earlier about the LA Rams being a competitive team last year. They were 10-6, but we're both defensive players. One thing I got to bring up is they also had the number one defense in the NFL. And who was their coordinator? Brandon Staley. And so they had a phenomenal defense, phenomenal players, right? Aaron Donald, Brockers, like they got, Jalen Ramsey, the list goes on and on. But now all of a sudden those players are still there, but the coach is gone. Now Brandon Staley, the defensive coordinator who brought a number one defense, is now in LA with the Chargers. And so I think Matthew Stafford will help the LA Rams be better, but I think the drop-off is going to be on the defensive side of the ball. Yes, great quarterback. Yes, good coach. But there's going to be a drop-off that not anyone's anticipating.
Jink, let's talk ball. You secondary dude, safety. You know everything that's going on for most of the teams because you've been in the league for a very long time. So I'm going to ask you this question now. You're going to take Stafford. What is a scarier offense? Stafford, McVay, the weapons the Rams have. Let's say Brady plus Bruce, the weapons the Bucs have. And let's say Andy Reid plus Mahomes and the weapons that they have. Where are you ranking those three coach, quarterback, receiver, weapon combinations?
Well, I'll start from the bottom and go up. I say McVay, like to Sam's point, I think there are coordinators, and I've been on teams where we feel like we figured their offense out. A lot of gimmicks with it, motions, jet motions, and things like that. So I do think that there's a lot of there's a cap at where that can go and how that can grow. And that's going to be completely on the quarterback. The next one I would go and say Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. I think it's a very simple offense, right? It's not something that's overly complicated. They don't have a ton of motions and things like that. What they do have is somebody at the quarterback who is super, super disciplined and knows how to play the game and knows how to manage the things that Bruce Arians wants to do. He wants to max it up and throw it down the field, and Brady can do all of those things and do it without committing mistakes. And so it's a very, very efficient offense. I think they, are the ones, they're in second. But the team I really, you don't want to see that gives you headaches is Mahomes. Because of all of his talent, his arm talent, the throws he can make, the mobility, it just makes it a headache to try to game plan for. And when you add on Andy Reid and Bieniemy and all of the things that they're doing from an offensive coordinator side, they have all of the things that McVay was doing that was catching people off guard. They do it every year. They have a new wrinkle, some new motion, some new players, speed everywhere. It's just so much to deal with that it's hard. It doesn't mean that you can't beat them, but if I had to play them week in and week out, that'd really be a headache.
Sam, real quick, answer the same question for me as concisely as possible.
Same answer, same order. And the reason why, I'll give you three reasons, right? We already talked about McVay and Stafford. But the reason why I put Tom Brady and Bruce Arians second is that the reason that they did so successful, yes, Tom Brady's the GOAT, but also they had a top defense in Tampa Bay with Todd Bowles. And so we saw what Todd Bowles did in shutting down Kansas City. Kansas City, when they played Tampa Bay in the regular season, Tyreek Hill had 200 yards in the first quarter, receiving yards on one person, Carlton Davis. But then that great defensive coordinator went and changed the game plan. And so same answer, same order. I will go Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid all day, number one.
To everyone who says that Matthew Stafford is not a threat because he's never won a playoff game, I caution you, Jared Goff had never won a game before Sean McVay. And 2 years later, they were in the Super Bowl.